The Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, is our weekly show dedicated to elite advice in standard leagues, PPR, and dynasty leagues. We are not guaranteeing you will win anything by our advice, but if you do, we want our cut. Enjoy the show. Are you tired of losing at fantasy football? Well, have a seat. You come to the right place. You're now tuned into the show where champions are made, where speed meets strategy, elite advice, rapid fire analysis, and winning lineups are provided. It all happens faster than Tyreek Hill's 40 time. So strap in. Let's dominate your draft, crush your matchups, and take a ride all the way to that fantasy goal right here on the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. Let's go. To all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Divas, alongside the real H.E. Alice Givens. We are in week 11 of the fantasy football season, and we are getting ready and gearing up for the playoffs there right around the corner. The real H.G., what's happening, good brother? How you doing, sir? What's going on?
I'm doing good, Coach. A little apologies to people out there if I sound like nasally B. You know, it's that time of year, all right?
Indeed.
We're huffing Dayquil, down in Dayquil, maybe not huffing it.
Right, yeah.
Side note, I had to give my ID to buy Dayquil today. I was
that's where
what?
we're at. That's where we're at. Yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, I can just feel honored that you look young enough that they think you might be, a teenager trying to, do some nefarious things,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it's true. You look at it that way, but I was like, what kind of world is this, dude?
Well, listen, they use all kind of things for nefarious activities.
Granted, where I'm located is known as it's a narcotic that starts with an M and rhymes with death, capital of the hey.
Yeah, that.
We got a lot of Walter Whites rolling around down here.
Okay, fair enough. If you don't understand, don't apply, let it fly. That's all we can really say.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it was all we can really say on that. But So the fantasy football season is rocking and rolling, man. It is definitely booming. It's definitely something we got to get to talking about business here, because it is getting down to the nitty-gritty, man. If you are in contention at all, I would say if you're no more than 3 games out of your league, you got a shot. They say, they say in Dumb and Dumber, so you say there's a chance.
Yeah.
So as long as you got a chance, we can try to get you right, get you that win streak so you can maybe sneak into the playoffs. Because once you get in, anybody's ball game. But and for those they're sitting high, flying high, and they're riding the wave, we can get you right and make sure you got your lineup set and you get your players in the right positions to compete for that fantasy football championship. But as we like to do it, as always, we start off the pod. We let you let us know where we're at. The Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast is on YouTube and all the social media platforms, as you can see down the bottom of the screen if you watch us on YouTube or any other platform that we're streaming from. As well, we have a hotline that we utilize on a regular basis. So if you need any fantasy football advice, you want to call in and give us a shout, you can do that as well. We have a hotline number. The number is 240-249-2220 for those listening on audio. It's 240-249-2220. Drop us a line, send us your questions, let us know how we can reach back to you, and we'll get your questions answered in short order if you're not watching this live. But if you are live, you're watching this here live and direct, please drop your comments and your questions in the chat as the show goes on, and we'll get right to you, trying to get you right for week 11, man. Whoa, week 11. It's hard. It's hard.
By and by, dude.
I mean, it's acting like
It
it got
does
somewhere.
every year, but
It
it's
really
like,
does, yeah.
bam.
It acting like it got somewhere to be. That's all I can really say. That's for sure. That is for sure. But yeah, so as we like to do in our beginning of our show, we have 2 fantasy leagues that we run. We have a dynasty league and a redraft league that we run. This is the second year of the redraft league and the first year of the dynasty. So we'd like to give a quick recap in regards to what this, the league is doing, how everybody's faring, us included, because we're involved in it. Obviously, we're in both leagues, so we can talk about exactly how we're faring. You know, one of us, we're faring pretty well in one, and we're kind of floundering in another. So it's interesting enough. And I know a lot of people that watch the show are fantasy football participants. So we'll do a quick recap. We'll do a quick recap of our fantasy football league, do our fantasy football weekly, and what week 10 showed for us. Starting with the redraft league, here's the matchups and the results from this past week. I had played Mike Dub, and I got a pretty good victory over Mike Dub, 124-86 in that matchup. Robert, 124 as well, at the 89 of Cool Kev. Josh got a victory, 111-82 over 5. Alex got a victory, 95-93, narrow victory over
Taco, dude. in a very taco matchup, you know.
Yes, it is a very taco matchup. Yeah, why haven't I been rewatching the league lately? That was funny that you say that. I've been rewatching old episodes of that lately on Hulu. So yes, that's definitely something that's hilarious to me because he's definitely the taco of the league right now. That's for sure. So 95-93 in that matchup. Coach D-Bad, 132-109. That might have been the biggest margin victory this week. That was a nice victory for him against DZ, who's the reigning champ. He lost 2 in a row.
A skid now, yeah. He was undefeated, buzzing.
A little bit. I think Robert knocked him off the pedestal, and he's flowing down the mountain now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We messed up as a league letting Robert get Jonathan Taylor, man.
I think we did. I think we all did. And to get Bijan on top of that.
Yeah. It's insulting that he got both.
Okay? No, it really is. And that's carrying his whole team right now for sure. And to round it out, Keith's got a victory over Cody, 104-100. So yeah. So those are your matchups for week 10, how that fared. So getting into the Dynasty League, I lost a nail biter to yours truly over here, the real AG. Sam Darnold shit the bed again for me this week. I just can't depend on that guy when I really need him for some reason. I don't know. 3 turnovers. If he had to turn the ball over 3 times in that game, I would have won. You got it's basically 8 points off the board.
Yeah, crazy.
Absolutely nothing. Then DJ Moore played, but he really didn't. He got me 0. So yeah, that cost me there. It was brutal. I was on a little bit of a hot streak. Now I'm just 3-7, but I'm still in it. I'm only I think a game or 2 behind the last playoff seed. So we'll see. But Real AG got his victory. He's 500 now, so that's good for him. The number one guy, S. Boyle, still flying high. I don't think he's. If he can't score 170 points, I don't think he can beat this guy. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it.
I play him this week too, and it's not looking good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. Look, bless you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take it all.
Yes. Manifest it.
Give me the bless.
Yes. 163-131 against Panda. The man. And Drew Dudley went against B Shank. He lost 135-123. Nightmare went up against Spice, 170. Yeah, 172.
He cooked the Spice, dude.
Yeah, listen, the Spice is cooked, burnt, fried.
Burnt Spice now. Old Spice.
Old Spice. Right. Old Spice. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Nightmare turned Spice into Old Spice. 172-116. Go Farmer lost to Riley Shank, 150 to 107. So that was wild. And then Jacob got a victory 155-136 over S. Rich. So yeah, it's some parity in this league, man. I hate it. I'm like to tell you because it's everybody is like outside of the 1 and 2 seed. Everybody's kind of like in the middle. And I will show the standings in a second, but there's a lot of parity in this league. So if somebody gets hot, in this next 2 or 3 weeks, I think they can make a run. But again, if you can't score 170 in the championship game, S. Boy's likely going to finish you off.
Yeah, and I may have gave him the finishing touch for that, but hey. I got his whole draft class, so
okay. So we look at we thinking of the future, not the present. I get it. I get it. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the week 11 matchups real quick. What week 11 is going to do. The dog's going crazy over Alice's house. Let's talk about what the redraft league is looking like this week. First, the standings, of course. Robert is flying high, 9-1. He's number 1. DZ 8-2. I'm 7-3. Keith is 5-5. Cody's 5-5. 5 is 5-5. Cool Kev is 5-5. Coach D Bev is 4-6. You are 4-6.
Damn.
Coach McDuff 3-7. Josh 3-7, and the Taco Man himself is 2-8, rounding out the league. So yeah, so we got some interesting matchup this week as well. Going against Cool Kev. That should be a matchup. Chargers versus Raiders crime there. A little bit of foreshadowing for next week or 2 weeks from now when we play the Raiders. Robert's going against Coach Mike Dubb, and he's actually not favored in that matchup, which is interesting. We'll see how that rolls. But yeah, Coach Mike Dubb and Robert are going against each other. Taco and Josh are going against each other. We got 11-12 fighting each other for the bottom barrel of the league. You're going against 5 this week, and he's on a little bit of a skid. I think he started 5-0. Now he's 5-5. So hopefully you can keep that momentum going for him.
Please
get yourself a dub. Cody's going against Coach D Bev this week, and Keith is going against DZ. So yeah, so there's some good matchups here. That was good matchups here. Now, Keith, if you can knock off DZ, I can get that 2 spot. Appreciate you. Appreciation. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that was the redraft league matchup this week in the standings. In Dynasty League, of course, S Boys 9-1. Nobody's stopping him outside of that one loss. It's crazy, S Rich is 7-3. B Shank is 6-4. Travis Hunter Jacob is 6-4. Ryder Shank is 5-5. You're 5-5. Nightmares 4-6. Pandas 4-6. Go Farmers 4-6. Power Rangers is 4-6, and I'm 3-7. And Spice is 3-7. So it's right there for the picking, man. It really is. It's literally one game apart from 5-12.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's about to get real exciting here. The next,
it really is. It really is. So the matchups for the week, I'm going against Panda, so that should be a good one. You're going against S Boys, like you said.
That, Look at that percentage, dude. What is that? 31%. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So B Shank versus Spice. Nightmare versus Power Ranger. S Rich going against Go Farmer. Jacob going against Riley Shank. So yeah, some good matchups here. The standings could flip come week 11's results. So we'll see how that goes. But shout out to everybody in the leagues, man. Appreciate everybody participating, and we'll see how things roll next week. We'll review it week 11 next week as the pod starts. But getting into fantasy football recap, we'll talk about week 10 in real life fantasy football, I guess you can say, not dynasty in league lore. But yeah, well, how week 10 went, who shined, who didn't, who players, that you may or may not have your team that were the the belle of the ball, or they were the GOAT of the fantasy franchise this week. So starting out with the best performance, out of the clear blue shadows of the depths of the darkness street, Davis Mills with 28.7 points in that comeback win against the Jaguars.
Yeah, all in the fourth quarter, basically.
All in the fourth quarter. He's the top dog. I didn't see that happen. Listen, if you told me that was going to happen and he said, I bet you $1 million, I'd have lost that bet. Ooh-wee. Yeah, 28.7 is the top dog in the half PPR format. Matt Stafford coming through with a clean game. He no picks, no penalties on the Rams game. He's playing like an MVP, 26.9. Jackson Dart, sans concussion at 26.3. And Caleb Williams.
Perfect lineup thing might have looked good.
Yeah, I think it looked good for both of us. We had to recap that. That's a good one. You're right about that. I think we did some. We're naturals at this point, but I think our perfect lineup is a bit padded out. So, spoiler alert: if you wait for the perfect lineup in the show, it'll be some gold in there for you, I'm sure. So, Caleb Williams on this list for 2 weeks in a row, I believe, 25.1. He's balling. Jared Goff, doing Jared Goff things at 24.8. So that was your round out your top 5 for quarterbacks. Of course, we just put Jonathan Taylor at the top of the list every week and just leave it there. We'll just do 2 through 5 from now on. But he had 48.1, which is insane. Devon Achane came out of the shadows with 37.5, half PPR format. Jahmyr Gibbs, 36.7. Travion Henderson, our boy.
Finally
got off the snide and got some touches. 27.5. And then Kyrie Williams rounded out the top 5 with 21.4. So those are your running backs and quarterbacks for the week in your top 5 list for week 10.
Yeah. And so for the wide receivers, our top dog, I think continuing back-to-back weeks here, Drake London with 21.4 in that game in Germany. mean, he's really come on here lately. We had Jamison Williams, the perennial deep threat in Detroit, kind of balling out a low key ball out for him with 20.9. We had Jalen Naylor in Minnesota, and some of you may be thinking, who?
Right.
And he
Not
had
Jefferson, not
yeah.
Addison, Jalen Naylor.
Yeah, not Hawkinson,
Nope.
none of them. You know,
No.
it was Jalen Naylor with 20.9. We had Emeka Ibigbu
A big boo.
just continuing his dominance with 20.5 as wide receiver one in Tampa Bay, and then Nico Collins getting back into the fold after a
Thank you,
little
Nico.
hampering with injuries. He had 19.1, so it's pretty solid. It's kind of a down week for QBs if you look at the top score. You know, we didn't have. I feel like we usually have a couple in the 30 realm, and
Right.
now, we got a little bit more performance out of running backs more so this week. But to our tight ends, Trey McBride, he's definitely glad to have Jacoby Brissett back or in the fold because he at least can see him and throw to him. He had 23.2. He was the top dog of week 10. We had George Kittle continue. He's getting back into the mix with 18.9. Jawan Johnson, who I know is a guy we've noted in the past, and for some reason seems to have that rapport with Tyler Shuck, perhaps because they spent time together in Oregon 7 years ago. But he had 17.2. Dalton Schultz with Davis Mills in the fold. Who knows who he's throwing to, who he's going to prioritize? But he had 14.8, and then Tyler Warren kind of continuing on his pretty solid rookie year with 13.9 in that game overseas.
Nice. All right. So those are your quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. So who was the defense and the kickers that were shining this week? Seattle. Well, I've been telling people for weeks that Seattle's defense is the prime candidate for fantasy football glory because they've been on this list quite a bit. 21 points this week in their matchup against the Cardinals. I think they had 2 scooping scores in that game, which is crazy. It's all about DeMarcus Lawrence, of all people. Falling right in his lap, and he just walked right in. The Jets, ironically enough, was on this list of 19. It looks like
who would have thought?
I know who would have thought that, right? The things that the fire star they had, he still put up 19. Interesting that trading 2 of their best players away. Chargers with 15 against the Steelers, they shut them down pretty good. The Texans were 14 in that matchup against the Jags. Texas defense is nasty, man. The Broncos and the Texans defense are both nasty. If their offense can figure things out, they can both be dangerous. But it's just the question of that being an issue. Like, Bo Nix is being inconsistent, and the O-line for the Texans just not being that good is really what's holding them back. But their defense is nasty, man. I appreciate it very much to see good defenses played out there. So that's a good look. The kickers, we had Jason Myers, Seattle again, another kicker I talked about, who I ironically have on one of my teams. He's been balling for me. Tyler Luke back in the fold when the Ravens actually running good offense now. He's 14 points up. Cameron Dicker, 14 points, Mr. Consistent on this list as well. I got him in our redraft league, so I appreciate that for him being on this list. Jake Bates with 13 for Detroit. Cam Little, Legatron himself with 13 points.
The leg.
And although in the loss, ironically, but he got 13 points in that space. So yeah. So those are your best performers of the week. So, as always, you got good people in fantasy football and you got the bad. So it's just some people, in fantasy football just make you want to say,
"You're killing me, Smalls."
You're killing me, Smalls. Who's gonna make you look bad this week? The most disappointing players of the week. So who's on the naughty list? Let's talk about them real quick. The top 5 fantasy football worst performers of the week. So who's on the naughty list? Ironically enough, in that stinker of a game on Monday night, which I, paid $4.99 to stream, was completely and utterly worthless. Just I had 2.5, 3 hours of my time I can't get back. Was 7.8 for Jordan Love in number 1. Bo Nix, with similarly, we talked about him a minute ago, 7.8. He didn't do much of it either. Sam Darnold, when they were up 35 points, still didn't do anything, which I complained about at the top of the show. Had he played quarterback like he been playing quarterback, I'd have been all right. But 5.9 with 3 turnovers in his matchup.
Crazy.
Geno Smith hobbling around with 5.4 with the Raiders. And Bryce Young with 2.6 for the Carolina Panthers, which I don't understand what's going on in Carolina either. It's a really Jekyll and Hyde over there. It really is.
It's crazy.
It really is. All right, Juan Penna is in the chat. Look like he got a couple of questions here. What we got?
Yeah, welcome, Juan.
Welcome, Juan. Who for my wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 in flex spot? So we got Devontae Adams, Debo Samuels, Quentin Johnston, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Addison, Parker Washington, Hollywood Brown, Tez Johnson. Running backs are Zach Charbonnet or a wide receiver. Got Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, and Jonathan Taylor are on buys. Okay. All right, and add information to this. His quarterback is Bo Nix, C.J. Stroud, Jason McCarthy, Jacoby Brissett, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, and Davis Mills. What kind of league you playing in?
Yeah, this dynasty,
right. Dynasty was
man.
8-man league.
I think you got the 2 running backs locked up with Jacobs and Henderson. That's for sure there.
Definitely that, because Henderson should be prime and ready to go. We're going to talk about him more as the show goes on, but definitely lock those 2 in. That's easy. Definitely them 2 over Zach Charbonnet all together. Devontae Adams is questionable with an oblique injury, so even if he does play, I would like to argue that he's going to be in a pitch count.
He did practice full today. I don't think that I think that's been upgraded. I don't think he's questionable per se.
Sure? Because I thought I read a post where he said they asked whether he expected Devontae Adams to play on Sunday versus the Seahawks despite his oblique injury. Rams head coach Simon McVay said, "I do, but he didn't practice today."
I saw he did, but
okay.
Either way, it is against a tough Seattle defense. So
that's another thing. That's another thing. But yeah. So I would argue I would say Quentin Johnston going against the Jags should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Parker Washington's banged up too. Now that I think about
Thomas is back.
And Thomas is coming back. So yeah.
And you got Jacoby, so you got both of those. I mean, for sure QJ. I think Debo, and if Devontae's healthy, I'm playing him over the rest of them. If not, I might go Tez Johnson.
Yeah, I like that because I don't trust Hollywood Brown. Because it's really a committee over there. And, so
anyone not named Rasheed is lucky to get 2 targets.
Exactly. Yeah, you heard from the fans mouth himself. Exactly. So yeah, we're looking at Devontae, assuming he plays, Debo and Quentin, or Tez if Devontae doesn't play, and of course Jacoby and Trevion. So those are picks for skill players. And your quarterback,
I'm staying away from Nix.
Yes,
I'm staying away.
Stroud.
He still hasn't. He didn't practice today, so
right. Definitely
JJ
and with that as well.
The matchup's enticing, but no, I think this is down to Rodgers or Flacco.
The old men.
Same game, ironically.
Yeah, ironically. I want to go Flacco.
Yeah, I think Flacco too. I mean, it's because it's tough because he's got all the weapons,
right?
And he's got T. Higgins. He uses him. He's got Jamar Chase. Obviously, they got Isovas or however you say that guy's name. Yeah, I mean he uses all of them. So I would lean Flacco, but I think it's between Flacco or Rodgers.
Yeah, and the way Rodgers played last week, yeah, but it is the Bengals defense, who gets carved up by everybody. Yeah. So then there's that. So yeah, I would say Flacco 1, Rodgers 2, depending on how you feeling when you wake up on Sunday morning. But yeah, I lean Flacco 1, Rodgers 2. All right, Gabe got a question. Who wins this trade, Jennings or Henry?
I guess is that Terrell Jennings? I don't
Juwan
know.
Jennings?
Juwan, maybe? There's a few Jennings, but maybe without some clarity on if it's Juwan. I think Harvey's side wins that trade, to be honest. Dobbins is out.
And he's looking for a second opinion on his injury, which might mean he might be out significant time.
They're talking maybe IR for him. So
yeah, right. So I think RJ Harvey's the play going forward.
Definitely. And okay, thank you for clarifying. It's Juwan. I figured it was Juwan, but I'm like, who knows? Who knows this in this climate, But I think with Juwan, you got Brock Purdy's coming back into the fold. Pearsall's getting back. There's going to be a dip in his production a little bit from what we've seen. So, yeah, I think you got Harvey on the uptick, Jennings potentially on the downtick. I think the Harvey side wins that one.
I agree. I definitely agree to that. Okay. there you have it. There you have it. So getting back to these bums. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Back to the
players,
bums.
worst players of the week. We talked about Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Bryce Young. The running backs, Rashad White, 7'9". Tyrone Tracy's getting vultured. Well, I don't want to say he's getting vultured, but he's definitely on the downturn, although he's supposed to be the starter. 7.6 points for him. Kenneth Walker with 7.5. Jordan Mason with 3.6. And Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I'm not calling him Bill anymore because he stinks. 3 points for fantasy football. So, yeah, there you have it for the running backs and the quarterbacks for the stinky guys of the week and week 10.
Yep. Yeah, and then with our receivers, we highlighted Naylor, not Jefferson, not Addison. I guess he was the best of the worst with 5 points. Now week 10 matchup. DK continuing to get on a little downward skid after his pretty hot start. He's got 5 points as well. Trey Tucker in his first game as wide receiver 1 for the Raiders produced a whole lot of nothing with 4.5. Cortland Sutton, who I did have, I will wear my loss like I put in the video Friday. I did put him in my perfect lineup. I thought he was going to absolutely roast the Raiders, but we kind of saw just how bad the Broncos offense could be at times. He had 3.9, and then Michael Pittman, I thought might have a decent game against Atlanta overseas. He had 2.9, so not a good showing for some early round big fantasy contributors for for the most part of this year. So hopefully they bounce back and hopefully Pittman comes out of his bye better. But hopefully actually I don't hope Cortland Sutton bounces back this week, but for fantasy, if you got him, sure, I'll hope that for you. But and then to our tight ends, the best of the worst, Luke Musgrave, first game as the new tight end. It was just a total stinker for the Packers all around, but he was the best of the worst if you want that title with 3.8. Brock Bowers, came off the IR and made his presence known and then disappeared into oblivion on Thursday night with 3.2. That was just a bad game. We had the start of week 10 was a terrible game and the end of week 10, even though I didn't see it, thanks Disney, but was from what I saw a terrible game as well. Then we had Evan Ingram just not doing a thing in Denver. Continuing on with the terrible game that it was. He had 2.2. TJ Hawkinson not benefiting from JJ McCarthy being back. He had 1.8. And then Hunter Henry to round things out, he had 1.4.
They're just not talking to Hawkinson at all because Wentz or JJ, neither one of them can find Hawkinson on the field at all. So it's just a bad omen. But then again, he can't find Justin Jefferson or Addison either. The only person that's benefiting is Jalen Naylor, which is crazy to say. He's a third or fourth option, and he's getting more targets than anybody, which is insane. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota, but it's just brutal. It's just brutal. If you got any Vikings, hedge your bet. That's all I can really tell you. All I can really tell you. Before we go over to the defense and the kickers are the worst. A lot of negatives in this list. Patriots with 2, Vikings with 1, Giants with goose egg, Commanders with -2. 49ers with -3, which is a very polar opposite of what the 49ers have been over the last several years in fantasy, which is bad news. Kickers, one much better. Chad Ryland for the Cardinals, 2 points. Ryan Fitzgerald with Carolina, 1. Brian McManus with 1. Matt Prater with 1 for Buffalo, and Daniel Carson with 1 for Vegas, which is another one too. Shocker. Daniel Carson usually a fantasy money for the Raiders, no matter who they have on their team. He typically kicks pretty good field goals. So see him on the list is just bad news. Bad news all around. But those are your worst performers, your best performers of the week. So hopefully, the guys that did bad for you, they can turn it around, and hopefully the guys that are doing good keep rocking. So we'll see how things go down for week 11. All right, so getting into the bye weeks, we are going into week 11, and ironically enough, it's a pretty good week. We only got 2 teams on bye. So this week and next week's going to be pretty heavy, but week 11 is pretty light. The Colts and the Saints are on bye. So Jonathan Taylor, for people that don't have him, you rest easy for a week. You don't have to worry about it. And I think that's why RG is not favored in his matchup because Jonathan Taylor's on the bye.
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
And he probably hasn't moved him out of his starting lineup yet.
Yeah, right. Exactly. When I took the screenshot. So yeah. The Colts on the bye, so we can be free of Jonathan Taylor abuse for 1 week. And then the Saints, ironically enough, outside of Juwan Johnson, maybe if you got any Saints or Olave, possibly in the deeper league.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, you're not losing much. I think the fantasy world is okay with the Saints being on the bye this week because it's
If
not
you're
much.
relying on anyone else on the Saints for your fantasy team, you're already prepping for 2026. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Looking to the draft already. What rookies are coming out? That's what we want to know. So yeah, that was a week 11 buys. Week 12 was a little bit brutal. Week 13 has got none, and then we got week 14. So we're gearing up to make the stretch run here. All right, so let's get into our next segment called the replacements. Injury updates and roster moves. Who is on the injury list this week, who may play, who may not play, who's banged up, and who you can replace those guys with, either temporary or long term. All right, so starting with the quarterbacks, not an extensive list. The wide receiver list is pretty long, like a CVS receipt, but we'll get to that. The quarterbacks, obviously, we got Jaden Daniels is completely out, but he's not on IR. Changed the status. He's not on IR. He
Good
did
news.
so he did avoid ligament damage to his dislocated elbow. So there's optimism that, I guess maybe if they think the Commanders can tread water with Marcus Mariota for the next few weeks, he could come back. So holding out hope for that. Maybe, if you're looking at it like a Joe Burrow or him, it could be a playoff stash. Just kind of, break that quarterback out during the playoffs because they might play in week 15, 16, or 17. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that. Brock Purdy's trending up. They say he took another step in practice today. He may play this week. As a cross your fingers on that. I think we made a 60-40 rather than 40-60 play turn for him. So he's questionable with his turf toe. Kyler Murray's completely out. They put him on IR late last week, early this week, with his foot issue. So he's going to be going IR.
And said he's not expected to start again for them. So
that too.
Regardless.
Yes. So for those late Kyler Murray owners that hadn't dropped him yet, you probably want to go ahead and do that. Joe Flacco's still on the list technically with the AC joint thing, but I think he's still good to go. I mean, he's just on there for optics, but not any danger of not playing at this point. CJ Stroud hadn't come out of concussion protocol yet, and I think you said he didn't practice, right?
Did not practice today.
Did not practice today. So look for Davis Mills potentially. If he doesn't come out of concussion protocol by tomorrow, I gotta believe it's gonna be a Davis Mills week again.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Dart, they actually ruled him out earlier to late this afternoon.
Yep.
With his concussion. Jameis Winston is going to start. Jameis Winston with his LASIK. So he's going to start for the Giants this week. So he's going to be out. And then Geno Smith hobbling around with his quad. I guess you can say cryptic on how he's doing, but I'm assuming he's going to start. But I might have a Kenny Pickett move here. Why not go with Kenny Pickett if Geno's banged up? Give him a shot. See what he can do. But so Geno Smith is questionable to his quad, in that space. So we'll see how that goes. But those are your quarterbacks that are quote unquote banged up this week. Running backs, we got Bucky Irvin, who was doubtful at this point, but he did quote unquote practice today. At least he was there.
Walkthrough practice.
Yes. So
he was limited. He was limited in a walkthrough, whatever that is worth to you. But at least that's a positive step in the right direction. Yeah.
Yes. Trending towards getting back on the field at some point. For me as a Rachaad White owner, I'm not feeling it. But hey, at some point he got to come back. At some point, right? But yeah, Christian Junkins on the injury report. I think he's going to be good. But he did list him as questionable with his shoulder injury. Isaiah Pacheco, questionable technically, but I think he's going to be out. Did he practice today?
Did not practice today, and they started the week by saying, he may take more time to recover. Plus, also, as I mentioned, I think last week, they did try to trade for Breece Hall, which tells me they think there's a little bit more timeline of his recovery than what was initially reported to be a couple weeks. So I do not expect Pacheco to play against Denver.
Okay, well, there you have it. Okay. All right, so DeAndre Swift's on the list with a groin injury. That's still lingering for him. He's been splitting time with Cal Monungate anyway, so I think they're kind of monitoring that. Ramondre Stevenson just got ruled out today with his toe, so I think nobody's starting but Trevion Henderson at this point. I think the other two guys are completely out, so it's all going to be the Trevion Henderson show this week. Then we got Aaron Jones with a shoulder, but I think he's going to play. He played last week, right?
Yeah, full practice today too. So
there you go. So yeah, Aaron Jones should be good to go. But again, it's the Vikings, and what I said a little bit earlier, hedge your bet on any Viking that is on your roster, period, at this point. Me included, because I'm bitching TJ Hawkinson to further notice. But Ollie Gordon popped up, and this is interesting too because Jalen Wright's back now, so I don't know what they're doing. But that's McDaniel's kind of bag. Like he likes three running backs, like to use all three in spaces. So I don't know what that means for Devon Achane and Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon. his production, but he's on the injury report with ankle. So I think Jalen
He
Rice
was limited today. So
yeah. So that tells you Jalen Rice gonna probably be the second back behind A-Chain. J.K. Dobbins, like we talked about earlier, he's hurt with his foot, questionable, likely not going to play. Seeking a second opinion on his foot. And typically when they seek second opinions, they don't like the prognosis initially, which means probably severe. He might be headed for IR, so keep that in mind. Keep it in your back pocket. Is that in those regards? And then we got Bam Knight for the Cardinals with an ankle injury. He's questionable as well. But I think we talked about this last week that DeMarco's kind of the guy now, which Corey resets offense. So yeah.
And I would add that Trey Benson could come back as early as next week. So, that might all change in a flash in the pan pretty quick.
Right. Indeed. So those are running backs that are injured this week. All right. Hey, G,
give me the CVS receipt. Yeah.
Let's get to it.
So, yeah, first, we've already kind of talked about him. Devontae is questionable with an oblique. Did not practice today, but I know at the end of the game when he was taken out, McVay said he probably would have continued playing had the score been closer. So, at least from a coach perspective, whether it's coach speak or smoke and mirrors, they don't seem worried about it. So, I probably echo what you said, Coach, in that I think he plays, but he may be on a little bit of a pitch count. So you want to watch that. Garrett Wilson already been ruled out for Thursday Night Football. I think is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks at this point. So maybe look at your Tyler Johnson or Adonai Mitchell. You may be thinking who on either. Yeah, whatever. But those are the two receivers in New York left at this point, unfortunately. Scary T has been ruled out again for week 11. Just crazy turn of events with him. Never put him on the IR, and it doesn't seem like he's ever going to play to finish out this season. But at least for week 11, he continues to be out. Brian Thomas Jr., as I kind of said, was listed as questionable, but he returned to practice today and is expected to play barring any setbacks. So we'll see if he can get revitalized in Jacksonville. I'm sure you don't hope that, Coach, at least for this week. But
no, just take your time. You good? Take your time. Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall, the the often injured man, been out for quite some time, but he was limited in practice today. I think still a little, kind of like Purdy, 60-40, on him playing because he's been back to practice a few times and been shut down. Josh Palmer already ruled out for the Bills. Dontavian Wicks was limited today in practice with the calf. Kind of been dealing with that for a couple weeks, and he did play Monday night, so I think he probably plays for whatever that's worth in a Packers offense. Chris Godwin, like Bucky Irving, was limited today in a walkthrough practice. I suspect he's probably sidelined for at least one more week, with just
probably
kind of how that's been going. Kayshon Boutte already ruled out for Thursday night. He did himself report it wasn't a serious hamstring tear or a higher grade pull or anything like that. So I think this might be the last week that he's out. Torrey Horton did not practice today. He's dealing with a groin and shin injury. I think he's going to be out for week 11. We had Matthew Golden. He didn't practice with that shoulder injury. Didn't play Monday Night Football, but LaFleur said they're trying to get him back into practice this week. So we'll see. But even when he's been out there, it's just kind of been of a stink season for him a little bit.
That offense in general, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We had Marvin Mims with the Broncos. He's still in concussion protocol. He did participate in drills today, so I think at least is showing signs that he's ramping things up and has a chance to play against Kansas City. Travis Hunter, as we already know, is put on the IR. Was already announced he's out for the season. As you kind of said a couple days ago, Coach, we were right. The two-way player just, first season, he's already dealing with an injury. It's not a good sign. So
not at all.
Hope he recovers well and the Jaguars figure out what to do with him and just stick to that plan. But we'll see, at least for 2025. The dynamic guy is shut down, unfortunately. And then we had Romeo Dobbs. It's all the Packers receivers banged up. Not named Christian Watson, which is ironic.
Right.
But he did return to practice today. But it was kind of a walkthrough day for them as well. But he is expected to be good to go for week 11 with the chest injury. We had Calvin Ridley finally returned to practice. He's been out since week 6 with a hamstring injury, but it is Tennessee, so don't get too excited. And then
At
Rashad
all.
Bateman did not practice today with an ankle injury. I think Harbaugh himself has said, it was he avoided serious injury, but is likely going to miss a little bit of time. So I think he's out for this game and maybe even week 12. And then one that's not on the list, but some news that kind of came out of nowhere today, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh
is
yeah.
ruled out for this week for appendicitis.
Yeah, he had an appendectomy today, so he had an appendix removed, so he's going to be out for at least a week or two. Yeah.
I think I feel like probably longer, but I don't know.
I feel like I've seen people have appendicitis or get appendix removed or have appendectomy. I think 2 weeks back.
I mean, I'm telling you, I had my appendix removed, and I feel like I was out of school for like 3 weeks.
Oh well, there you go.
And that's just school, bro.
Right, it's not practice.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about practice.
That's just going to sit and learn. You couldn't even do that.
Exactly. Okay. All right, so those are your wide receivers that are banged up this week. So, if you have these guys in your lineup, hedge your bet. Likely if they do play, it might be a pitch count. So, kind of monitor that. And if you got better pastures to go to, maybe do that. The tight ends, real quick, is not much on this list. Ironically enough, Oronde Gaskin the second, and his knee, he practiced 4 today, so he's looked like he's going to be good to go. Coming off that knee injury, he did avoid serious knee injury. He just got a bruise. So that was positive news.
Knees, man.
Yeah, it
does
goes either way. It can go either way because Tucker Kraft bumped his knee and tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So that's that was my fear. Thankfully enough, that he did not get hurt permanently, for the season or whatnot. So he's questionable technically, but he practiced 4 today. So I think that'll be a continued trend, and he'll play this week. And Dawson Cade, I think he's highly questionable, likely not playing this week with a hamstring injury, and he injured over the weekend. And I put Brent Strange on the list because he's due to return from IR, and I think that he's saying that it might be a good chance that he plays.
Yeah,
this week.
He practiced today, so
right.
Potential.
So so he could be a potential ad for you if he's coming back, if he's sitting there out there on deep on your waiver wire, because he was doing pretty good with Trevor Lawrence. That's Tyler's brother. Trevor Lawrence before he got hurt. So it's a little quick ad, a little quick nugget there for our fantasy fans out there that might be looking for a tight end. But getting on to the people that can replace these guys who might be a good ad for you. I'll be honest, I'm starting by saying this, and I'm gonna preface this list by saying it's getting slim out here. The pickets are getting slim. They're getting slim because these injuries have been piling up. As you can see, we've been reading a long list of injuries week to week, and we're only in week 11. So for starters for the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, again, do that what you will. We talked about that with Juan earlier. I guess if you don't play in prime time, he plays decent. I think that's might be the issue. So he's not playing in prime time this week, and the Bengals defense. So he might be a good ad this week.
It's too late in the day, those prime times. He's usually in bed by then.
Oh yeah, maybe that it is. That's what it is. He'll get a chance to get his old man nap in. We got late games, so he got he kind of winds down for those late games. So that could be it. Tua Tagovailoa is only rostered in 21% of leagues. He could be a good ad, temporary ad here and there for a bye week here and there. Might be a 1 week wonder like he was last week. Marcus Mariota is going to be the starter going forward, at least the next 3 or 4 weeks for the Commanders. So, with nothing else between his mobility and his targeting Zach Ertz, I think he could be a good ad. Running back Tyler Algier seems to be getting some goal line work, kind of vulturing Bijan, ironically enough. So he's rostered 33% of leagues around across the board. So he could be a good ad. Blake Corum, I think you mentioned this early in the week in one of your shorts that said that he's been getting more touches between him and Kyron. So he's only rostered in 12% of leagues, ironically enough. So he could be a good ad. And Tajay Spears, another guy I think you broke the news on in regards to who could be a viable option. He's rostered in 43% of his league. So he's starting to get an uptick in his usage. So that could be a good ad for you. So those 6 guys between the quarterbacks and running backs, again, I'm not expecting world-beating performances, but they could be serviceable if you have a need.
Yeah. Could help you in a pinch. That's about it. But
that's about it. I'm not talking long-term at all.
Yeah. For our replacement wide receivers, we do have Alec Pierce on here. He is on a bye, but I think, as I put in the Tuesday short, go get him while you can, because he is picking up steam quick, and I don't think will be this widely available for much longer. We also have Christian Watson. You saw the CVS receipt. Every other Packers receiver was on there. He is
Right.
the only healthy guy right now. And the one that they use, I mean, he for how bad that game was, he still almost had 10 fantasy points. So,
Yeah.
he is involved. And we have Parker Washington. He's a little banged up as well. Brian Thomas Jr. is back, but he has kind of flourished in that Jacksonville passing attack here the past couple weeks. I
Yep.
would also note with the Marvin Harrison news, for what it's worth, they are playing San Francisco, but you could look at potentially Greg Dortch or Michael Wilson because, I mean, there ain't going to be anyone else out there to
Right.
catch passes. That literally, I think quite literally almost the rest of their wide receiver rooms like on the IR. So, they had Zay Jones just went on the IR.
Yep. Achilles. Yep.
They got someone else on the IR. Marvin's out, so it could be Dortch or Wilson. And if you're really
That's-
in a pinch,
Yeah.
I mean, those are going to be probably the most widely available two of the bunch here.
Agreed.
And for our tight ends, we got Colston Loveland. I think kind of like Pierce, as you see by the 50% rostered threshold there. I mean, he's not going to be available for much longer. Komet was actually also banged up and limited today in practice. So as they've shown, if Komet's not out there, Loveland flourishes.
Yeah.
If Komet is out there, he loses a little bit of snaps, but even when that, he still had a pretty solid week last week. So definitely check out him. You got Theo Johnson. He's been sort of the go-to red zone target. I will say that might be a little hampered with Jameis starting and not Dart, but they don't have they're running out of options in New York too. So you could consider him. And then Cade Otton, he's kind of been balling a little bit lately with the absences of Evans and Godwin. So I'd reap from those benefits while you can.
I agree.
Otton.
I definitely agree. I like the tight end list the most out of this because I think the Alec Pierce and Parker Washington long-term plays. Christian Watson is a long-term play technically, but I feel like they get Jaden Reed and all those guys back. He's going to go down. But I do think Alex Pierce and Parker Washington, they're one's on a bye, one's banged up. They're long-term plays. But these tight ends are a pretty good list. I think most quarterbacks when they first come in, that comfort, that security blanket is always the tight end. But Theo Johnson can see a lot of targets. Colston Loveland, like you said, he's been I keep getting these names wrong today. Caleb Williams' favorite target when Cole Kmet's not around. So yeah, I think that I think he's more dynamic and he's more explosive after the catch, as we saw what he did in that walk-off 2 weeks ago. So yeah, and the Cade Otton's usage has been going up and up and up, especially with no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin, only a Buka out there, so just them two. There's primary targets. I think Cade Otton's could be a good ad as well. So yeah, I like those moves. So yeah, if you need a tight end this week, streaming or long term, you might be good to go with any of those three. That's for sure. I like it. All right. So those are your replacements for the week. So moving forward, let's talk about our rolling segment. Let's talk about the trade deadline. A lot of league trade deadline is this week. Most people ending their trade deadline around week 11, week 12. So let's talk about some trade tips that could, get you over the hump and get you primed and ready for the playoffs. And kind of, turn your roster around or just put you over the top to get you that bye week, that early top seed, whatever you need to get to the playoffs and make a deep run. So we got a list of guys here that we think that are prime trade candidates that could, definitely, be prime and ready for the playoffs run into it and through it. So we can see these guys that are not only, plays that you can get you into the playoffs, but they can potentially win it for you. So for me, starting with the quarterbacks, I think Jordan Love is got to figure it out at some point, right? And I think it literally is a byproduct. Yeah, right. I think it's literally a byproduct of, and I think it's a buy low option because he stunk it up last week. The reason why I put him on the list, I think that once he gets his receivers back, I think that once he builds a rapport with Musgrave, because you hadn't really had to because Tucker Craft was vulturing everything from tight end perspective. Jaden Reed's been out. That's been his normal wide receiver one, before Matthew Golden got there. Christian Watson's back on the fold. They're getting Wicks back. So Dobbs is being the fold. So once they get all his weapons back, I think long term, Jordan Love can be a play for you if you need a quarterback. If you lost Jane Daniels, temporarily, or Joe Burrow, whatever the case may be, and they're going to come back, but you need a quarterback now, I would trade for Jordan Love right now and let him ride the wave until you can get your guy back. But yeah, I definitely believe Jordan Love is a good buy low option to trade for. Some guys might be low on them because they might have another starter they have in mind is doing better. Like me, I got Patrick Mahomes, so Jordan Love's my backup. So yeah, I would say that if somebody wants to trade for Jordan Love, holler at your boy. But But yeah, I would say that Jordan Love is definitely a buy low option for you. That will ultimately, once he gets his weapons back in the next couple of weeks, should start to turn around and start putting up points again and get hot.
Yep, I
Yep.
agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, mine is definitely a little bit more of a spicier one, maybe a controversial one, and it could age like sour milk very quickly.
Or
Um,
not. Or not.
but I think I gotta know Jaden Daniels if you're sitting in a good spot and you got some flexibility in your bench, and maybe you're shaky at QB, but the rest of your roster is pretty solid, and you know you're heading to the playoff path. I mean, right now I think is the best time to try to trade for Jaden Daniels. While there's still some optimism, granted, I mean the Commanders got to rely on Mariota to win a little bit, I think, to bring him back. But as long as they could stay afloat and he comes out of their week 12 bye feeling good, I think they're going to get him back out there. And I mean he's the cheapest he's ever going to be right now.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to risk it for the biscuit, and make a splashy move, I think Jaden Daniels it could potentially be that difference maker type of move and a buy low type of move to set you up nicely in the playoffs. Because, like you said, the MRI confirmed no ligament damage. They're not putting him on the IR, and they've already said we're reevaluating things after the Week 12 bye. So he could potentially not be out that long, but I will also caveat, this is the same coach who said Terry McLaurin is healthy and not going on the IR and be back too. So
Right. Oh yeah. So we take it with a grain of salt, but if he does have the option to come back and they do want to bring him back, to kind of get him some reps and things of that nature, and get him back out there with his guys, especially if Terry finally comes back, at some point. Because he did say, I guess it was probably a bright spot that he is doing work on the side and he was working and limited in practice today, but he won't play. But he is trending towards getting back on the field the next couple of weeks. So that could be a positive and means for Jaden to get back on the field. So I like it. Definitely a buy low move because, again, if you have the
risky buy low move.
It is. And if you have the ability, if your league set up where your out players and your IR players can go in the IR spot, hell, you trade for him, slide him in the IR spot. He doesn't take up a roster spot till he comes back, and then boom. Then you can put him in lineup once he's back on the active roster. So yeah, not bad. Not a bad move at all. For running backs for me with Travion Henderson, man, finally. We've been pounding the table for this dude all year long. I drafted him in one league because I figured like he was going to be the bell cow once they realized how good he was and started giving him the ball, but it took him 10 weeks to figure it out. And he's going to be the dog this week for sure. So if you have him already, if you can trade for him low key this week, go after him because I definitely think the Travion Henderson now and going forward because it's undeniable at this point. I mean, what he did last week should tell you if you don't realize that he's your best, most talented running back at this point and give him a lot of touches, you're just blind. I know the Patriots are winning. Drake Maye's playing great and all that good jazz, but give Travion Henderson the ball. So I would argue that if you can get him in your lineup, if you don't have him already, trade for Travion Henderson today because I think he will carry you from this point forward. So I love that move, and I think Travion Henderson is a definite play. So go after him and give up what you got to give up to get him if you need a running back for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. I will say if you're in leagues like I'm in and someone that drafted Henderson, they're probably going to be stubborn AF and not want to trade him. But if you can get it done, I believe with making that type of move too. The guy I noted, Kyle Monungai, may not carry the same sort of firepower that Travion Henderson does yet. But as we kind of preface looking at the injuries, I mean, he's been consistently splitting the work with DeAndre Swift. Swift's already shown, he's getting up there in age. He's a little injury prone, pretty much shaky at best to have sort of full confidence in that he goes the full year. So, they don't have the best playoff schedule, but as Ben Johnson's shown, he's going to build his offense through the run game. He knows how to run an effective rushing attack. He's going to use both of these guys, and potentially Monungai could become that, big difference maker if Swift falls off or he just starts picking up even more steam. I mean, we saw it with Rico Dowdle in Carolina. I mean, you could see that same kind of changing of the guard in Chicago.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I definitely agree with Kyle Monungai. And I would say to Ben Johnson for sure. It likes to use two backs. We did it
Yeah.
with Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit. So I definitely believe that he's going to utilize a high end. And I would argue that Monanga is I guess you can say flashy back. Because like I said, DeAndre Swift is definitely hurt a lot. So and he's dealing with a groin injury now. So I would definitely say that Monanga is going to be he's going to get the more touches like Gibbs used to get in Detroit as things go on. So I like that move as well for sure. Wide receivers, man, Devonta Smith, man. I think that he's going to be the guy that gets the targets and gets the big plays in Philly. We saw it, he won a game for them on Monday night. That long play that he caught. Although AJ Brown is unhappy, he's sending all kind of sneak disses and things of that nature online
Yeah.
and all this other jazz. As long as he's on the field, the coverage is going to roll to him. So I think that it's going to open up plays and downfield opportunities for Devonta Smith. So I think that if you can sneak him on your roster as a trade, I would definitely try to trade for Devonta Smith today because I think that particular connection between him and Jalen Hurts and him getting them the ball in big play spots, I think that that's going to be a good move for you. So I would definitely trade for Devonta Smith if you had to get a wide receiver on your team.
Yeah, and he doesn't carry that same type of shock sticker value of trying to trade for AJ Brown either.
Yes.
Like
It'd be
I
right.
tried to trade for AJ Brown, someone and the dude was like,
Nothing.
this is like my second round pick. And I'm like, that
Right.
doesn't matter now, bro. But
It
okay.
doesn't. You're right.
But yeah, I agree with that. My wide receiver I noted was Jalen Waddle. May also not be the sexiest of pickups here, but I think he's clearly Tua's go-to target. He's really the only competent wide receiver they have right now.
Yeah.
With Tyreek out. He has a very favorable playoff schedule. Looking at that weeks 14 through 17, he's got the Jets, the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Bucks. So pretty good schedule. I think decently buy low type situation just because of the dumpster fire thing he's in Miami and who his QB is. So it's not like you're going to have to break the bank to get him, and he could be a pretty good asset, in that playoff crunch time.
Nice. I like it. Okay. And to round it out for me, tight ends, Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is starting to build back that, I guess you can say that illustrious connection that he had with Lamar Jackson. Now that he did back both healthy. They are monitoring Lamar for, potential injury that he got banged around against, who they played this last week? I wasn't losing me. But yeah, I don't know.
They
But
played
yeah,
the Browns this week. Who did they play? They won.
they definitely won. Who they play?
Vikings.
Yes. They got banged around in that game, but so they monitoring that. But I think going forward, if you can trade for Mark Andrews, I would go after him because I think he's going to be a touchdown machine and the number one target for Lamar Jackson going forward. I think they're building back that chemistry, and all the rumors are dead. They're not trading them. They're not moving off of them. So I think that they at least got one more go because I think this is the last year of his deal in Baltimore. So they're gonna try to give you one more run, and run in the sun, and hopefully that Mark Andrews will pay dividends for you from the tight end spot because it is feast or famine. I think, but Mark Andrews should, and I think we were talking about this last week. A guy asked about Mark Andrews and who to play, and we were spot on. He caught 2 touchdowns, so maybe that'd been 2 weeks ago. But yeah, we're
did
spot on.
steer him right.
We did steer him right about Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews should be a good play going forward for the next few weeks.
Yeah. And I would add, their playoff schedule, they have a lot of AFC North matchups against a lot of shaky defenses. So
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tight end I noted, I will preface Mark Andrews was a guy I had in mind for this segment as well. So we had to pivot, but figured Coach might like this pivot nonetheless.
I
went to our main man, Aronde Gatson the second with the Chargers. He is a little banged up right now. He's had a little streakiness in terms of his involvement and usage, but I think is quietly building rapport with Herbert and quietly kind of becoming the security blanket for when they need to move the chains and attack the middle of the field. And, they're letting him do that a lot more. And I think, just compared to some of the other big name tight ends out there that you could try to trade for, this is the one that, probably, like I said, carries the least sticker shock value of trying to get him. And the person that has him would probably be more receptive to moving on of a player like him. And he could still give you the same dividends nonetheless when you get to that playoff crunch time.
I like it. Yeah, definitely love his target share. And he's on a very high uptick. He's going to get targets. He's going to get yards, and to get down to that red zone, he's definitely, because of his height and his stature, he's going to be a red zone target as well. So I don't think you can go wrong with either one. I think they're both slam dunks for sure. So if you can get any of these guys in your lineup, trade for them now before the weekend gets going. And I think you'll be happy with the idea of having those guys on your team from here throughout the playoffs. All right, so let's talk about the games of the week. Let's get into the schedule for the week in its entirety. So, looking at the schedule of the week, we're starting out with the Jets in New England tomorrow night, and rounding out with Dallas. It's interesting. Two bad teams on both ends of these these spectrums, right?
Right.
But the Jets in New England, rounding out with Dallas and Vegas. But in between all that, I guess you could say, there's any games that you see that's going to be just absolute fantasy gold for you, and we can kind of steer the guys towards playing these guys this week because they're going to show out in a big way.
It's kind of, we have a lot of, there's not really any that like grossly stick out as, I think could be a lot of, I think the Pittsburgh Cincinnati game is going to be a little bit of a shootout just by the nature of how those defenses have been playing. Even if it is an AFC North matchup, I can see that kind of being one of the more shootouty types. And I don't know why I feel this way. I feel like that Rams Seattle game is going to be a little bit more high scoring than people may think too.
It could, yeah, definitely could. I mean, they both got solid defenses. I love the Seattle secondary. But I mean, Matt Stafford's playing,
just slinging it.
Yeah, he's playing at a godly level right now. And Puka is healthy now. They got the 3 to 4 tight end sets they be running. They confuse the hell out of people's offenses. They're running the ball well. So, I think that it could be high scoring. It's just a matter of who has a better game plan in that space. But
the flip side of it, the Rams defense is pretty vulnerable against the pass too. So
that too. So, but that depends on Sam Darnold and how they cover Jackson Smith and Jigba. And they also got CCE now. Yeah, so this just depends on Sam Darnold that week. But I see a lot of one-sidedness here. I think New England's going to have a good week against the Jets defense.
No doubt.
I'm not sure what Miami's going to do against the Commanders defense in Spain, but you would like to believe that they should have that good time with their secondary. You would like to believe. I don't know what to make of Atlanta and Carolina at all. I'm not banking on that at all.
Nope.
The Buccaneers Buffalo matchup, that if they had Bucky Irvin, I'd really be bullish on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that matchup because they should run the ball all over them because they can't stop the run at all, especially with no Ed Oliver.
They might.
Yeah,
they might have them.
Yeah. So, I think the Chargers against the Jacksonville's, although our line is terrible, I think we should put up points there. So outside of that, I mean, Chicago should be the side. The Green Bay, I don't know. I mean, James and having a backup quarterback, that's always a crapshoot because you don't have a game plan for him. Yeah. So, but I do believe the Steelers should put up points against the Bengals defense, and the Bengals should put up points against the Steelers defense. So, I think that might be the play there. That might be this high scoring game combined this week for sure. So, the Baltimore Cleveland game, that's more of a defensive battle to me. Dallas game is a defensive battle. The Chiefs versus Denver, I mean, that's a defensive battle. I will say the Detroit Philly game that has my eye because that could be it could be a defensive matchup or it could be a shootout. It could be one of those.
That's what I was going to ask you about because I don't know why I feel like it's going to be a shootout.
I feel it that way too. I think it might be a shootout. It might be like a 80-point, combined, score. It could be one of those things. 60 to 70, maybe 80 points between the two of them, and the last person who's got the ball scores that wins. So who knows? But so it's definitely some parity here. If you got it's on one side of the coin, outside of maybe two games.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I think Dallas gonna put up a lot of points against Raiders too. So but that's not shocking.
No,
not shocking.
No, not at all.
All right, so as we round out the show, we get into our perfect lineup, and like I said, we've been on a pretty good heater here with our perfect lineups because the guys we've been choosing have been balling. So we're gonna give you our perfect lineup. This is a segment where we give you our full fantasy football lineup from top to bottom, quarterback through defense and kicker. We tell you who we think is gonna have the best matchups, and if you got these guys in your lineup or you play best ball, you can get some done and get some wins done this week with these guys in your lineup. So. Starting off with me, I'm going to get with Drake May against the Jets. Darake Maye himself. I'm going to get Drake May with the Jets. I think he's going to have a great game. Doubling down on my Devon A-Chain take because I had him last week, and I'm riding with him again this week. Now, knock on wood, because the last time I did that with Tucker Kraft, he got hurt. So hoping we will do that. But I don't have that juju on Devon A-Chain, and he doesn't get hurt. But I'm doubling down on Devon A-Chain against the Commanders. I think he has a great game. Jaylen Warren against that soft, gooey Snickers in the microwave defense of the Bengals. I'm going with Jalen Warren this week for going against them. CeeDee Lamb should feast on the Raiders secondary. I like that. Nico Collins should have another good week against the Titans defense, which is another soft batch cookie defense. Trey McBride continuing on with Jacoby Brissett's in the hot handedness with his targets going against the 49ers. I like Josh Jacobs in the flex against the Giants defense, because although they have a really good front, they can't stop the run. I don't get that either. I don't have how you have those edge rushing Dexter Lawrence in the middle and still can't stop the run. I don't get it. But they can't stop the run, so I think Josh Jacobs should have a good game. And the kickers, Andy Borgalis from the Patriots should have a good game against the Jets. And I'm rolling with my Chargers against the Jaguars. And we on a revenge tour for that game. Going back to Jacksonville, we lost that playoff game a couple of years ago with that blown lead with Brandon Staley. So, yeah, I think Herbert said himself this week he still remembers that game like it was yesterday. So he has revenge on his mind. I think the Chargers defense builds on that Steelers win and plays good ball against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. So those are my guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. And the real AG has his list. More Chargers on his list. I love it.
Yeah, I figured you liked that one. Yeah. So yeah, my QB for this week, I got Justin Herbert going against the Jags. He has had 3 straight top 4 finishes as QBs. The Jags just got absolutely cooked by Davis Mills. Right. They've actually, as a defense, have given up 5 straight 20-plus point fantasy outings to the opposing QB, including Davis Mills and Geno Smith. So I don't think I need to see much more about that. Not to mention they're banged up in their secondary. Mm-hmm. Their corner that they drafted was out, So I feel good about Herbert against Jacksonville in that revenge game. I got James Cook going against the Bucks. I think he has a big bounce back game for Buffalo. I mean, it's a big game for the Bills as a team. They got to. They got to win it. They got to right the ship. And I'd like to think that they rely on their veterans and their running game a little bit more than they have. Tampa Bay has averaged the 10th most fantasy points against running backs, so I expect James Cook to bounce back a little bit. For my second running back, I got Bijan Robinson going against the Panthers in, what I would also call a must-win game for the Falcons. It's a revenge game. They got absolutely blown out by Carolina the last time they played. As RG kind of said yesterday, like Atlanta is successful when they give Bijan the ball.
That's it.
And I think they emphasized that this week. And, looking at the Panthers defense, it's been somewhat quietly decent, I'll call it that. But they did just allow Kamara to have his highest yards of the season. So I think as long as Atlanta realizes what they have in Bijan and give him the rock, I think he's in for a good week 11. At my wide receiver 1, I got JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, going against the Rams. He is already over 1,000 yards on the season.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. This is a big-time matchup, NFC West matchup. Both of them are 7-2. Like I said, Rams are elite against the run, but they're pretty average against the pass. So I suspect JSN to be very heavily involved and continue to go on this rampant run that he's been on. To double down on the Ohio State wide receivers here. And I think I put Emeka in my lineup last week. I feel like I put him in a lot of weeks, but he's been producing. So I got him going against the Buffalo Bills for Tampa Bay. He has had 4 top 10 finishes on the year. Buffalo just gave up 84 yards and a touchdown to Waddle. I think Emeka continues to do what he's been doing in Tampa Bay. At tight end, you guys know that I love to dump on the atrocious Dallas passing defense. I could not do it in week 10. They were on a bye. I also cannot competently put a Raiders wide receiver on this list and tell you they're going to cook them. So we're going to go with the unicorn tight end that they have. I think he bounces back in a big way against Dallas and returns back to more of what we saw in week 9 out of him. For my flex, you guys know I also like to stack bundles. So,
I love it.
I'm going with Ladidi McConkey, going against Jacksonville. I think, Jacksonville's traditionally more worse against tight ends in the passing game, but with Gadsden a little banged up, Ladd's coming off the best game he's had all year. I think, 107 yards and a score.
Yep.
He's had at least 6 targets in every game since week 4, and he's logged 50-plus receiving yards in 5 straight games. So I expect Ladd to go off with Herbert going off. Feel good about him in my flex spot. For my defense, I'm going with the Packers. Maybe the defense of the week going against Jameis. Turned the ball over Winston. They held Philly in check, held their run game in check. Their secondary is pretty sneakily elite. Like I said, I expect this to be probably the best scoring outing we see from the Packers defense this week against the Giants. And I bet Jameis has at least 2 picks. And maybe at some point Russ gets thrown out there. Who knows?
Wow.
And then to round things out, my kicker, I got Jake Bates going against the Eagles, like we kind of talked about. I think that's going to be a good scoring affair. I think the Eagles' defense is obviously pretty good, pretty stout at times. So I think Bates is going to be kicking a good chunk of field goals. He did just come off a 13-point game against Washington, so I feel good about Jake Bates as well.
Love it. Love it. All right. So those are your best ball and perfect lineups for the week. So if you got any of these guys or multiple guys in certain aspects, if they're on your team, I think you should have a good week. And let us know in the comments. Let us know, hit us up on social media. Let us know how these guys did and how our perfect lineups are working out for you. So we should have a good week. All right. So that's going to wrap up the show. We like to give a few minutes for anybody watching live in the chat to come up with any questions and they want to ask right now live and get those answered right here on the live show. We'll allow a few minutes for that. But as always, man, if you're looking for the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast, we drop content every day, Monday through Friday, mostly at 3 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, please. If you can do that for you, it is free. We appreciate that. If you need to reach out to us, offline at any particular point in time, we're not doing our live show. Hit us up on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Even email us if you need to. Lightning Fast FF across all platforms. So you can reach out to us in that space. If you need to leave us a voicemail, we talked about it earlier at the top of the show, but we have a hotline number. The number is, once again, it's 240-249-2220. If you're in the car, driving to work, doing whatever you got to do, and you got a fantasy football question that's burning a hole in your brain, drop us a voicemail. We'll let us know how to get back to you, and we'll get your fantasy football questions answered in short order, man. So we got all fast as we can reach us. If you got any questions that are not prevalent on your brain at this point in time. But as always, we go live each and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time throughout the regular season. We drop content and shorts throughout the week in the afternoons. So check that out. Like I said, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel so you do not miss any upload. And if there are no questions in the chat, man, we're going to get out of here and get you back to your lives. But watch out for Alice's content for Thursday and Friday, get you primed and ready for the weekend. And I hope everybody has a good week 11, man. And the playoffs are gearing up. We talk about trades, get those trades done. Set your lineups, kind of mix and match and move players around that you need to so you can get yourself proud and ready, because the playoffs are about 3 weeks away, man. About 3 weeks away. Week 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 4 games. 4 games left before the playoffs start for most people, because most people start at week 15. So yeah, I know, man. It's getting close. So it's put up or shut up time, man. So if you are riding high, don't fall off. And if you need to put together some wins, now is the time.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
Now it's time to put up or shut up.
That's a fact.
As they say.
That's a fact. All right, AG, you got any parting words for the crowd, for the viewers watching us live before we get out of here?
Man, just appreciate the new faces to the show tonight. People popping in the chat, asking questions. I'll send everyone off like I do every week. I hope you have a great weekend, great week 11 of fantasy, unless you're playing me, Boyle.
I like it. Can he pull an upset against S. Boyle? That is the question. Find out next week on this episode of Dragon Ball Z. Yes, indeed. All right, man. Well, listen, we'll get y'all back to our regular lives, man. Like I said, we try to get this done in pretty much an hour time. Get you that goal lightning fast, and we'll be back next week with our live show. And check us out on YouTube. But in the meantime, between time, I'm Coach Defense. That is Real AG Alice Givens. Until next week, we'll see you when we see you. Step up and lock it down.